Well, breaking news from the NFL. Well, 49ers pass rusher Nick Bosa has agreed to a 5-year, $170 million extension. That's, of course, according to ESPN. It makes him the highest paid defensive player in league history, moving him past Aaron Donald. His deal also reportedly includes more than $122 million in guarantees. Bosa was a holdout from training camp on the last year of his rookie deal. He had a career-best 18.5 sacks last year, on his way to being named the league's Defensive Player of the Year. So some money there for Nick Bosa, but some money for his brother as well. Joey Bosa on that list at $27 million as well, as you take a look at the highest paid players based on average annual value. Aaron Donald, of course, we just talked about him, followed by TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, and of course Quinnen Williams on that list as well. Let's go ahead and welcome in our NFL analyst, Douzable. Now, you're a former defensive end.
Oh, yeah.
This is some big money that we're looking at here for Nick Bosa, and it kind of feels like we've been waiting for this to happen, and now the deal's done.
Yeah, Haley, surprised that it took this long if you look at what Nick Bosa means to this team, right? This is the #1 defense in all of football, and it's because of Nick Bosa. Just look at a trajectory of where this team goes when Nick Bosa isn't in the lineup. 2019, 2021, 2022. The 49ers have sacks totals of 48, 48, 44. The 1 year Nick Bosa gets hurt in 2020, that number drops down significantly to only 30. So that lets you know what it means to this team. I know right now Javon Hargrave is shouting, running around 49ers Stadium right now. Couldn't be more excited because he signed to the 49ers for a chance to win the Super Bowl. Now, he's with the Eagles last year, and he knew what that defensive line had. So he figures he has the same thing with Nick Bosa. And even in the offseason, Nick Bosa talked up Javon Hargrave, saying, I don't think people realize how good of a D tackle this guy is. Well, now he has Nick Bosa on the outside, Eric Armstead inside with him. This 49ers defense is going to get after people. And I thought that the 49ers were extremely smart in getting this done with about a week to their first game. Now, for people that don't know, Wednesday is the first real work day for teams when they're getting ready to play on Sunday. So hopefully Nick Bosa's in the area. They are on the West Coast. I played on this team in 2017, 2018, my last year in the league. Just knowing Kyle Shanahan, how he practices. The practice usually isn't until about 12:30, 1 o'clock. So right around this time, if Nick Bosa's in the area, can sign that deal, get out to the practice field, and work his way up to potentially playing Week 1 versus the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, it definitely makes an impact when you're not there at practice and you're holding out. But Bosa, of course, isn't the only guy who's been holding out for more money. How does this signing, how does that number, that $170 million, play a factor for guys like Chris Jones?
So you think this shifts to Chris Jones now, right? And he most likely won't play in Week 1. They play in 2 days, and he hasn't signed a new deal. So now if you're Chris Jones, you're saying, Nick Bosa's making about $34 million. Aaron Donald, $31.7. I feel like I should be in the realm of $30+ million. And supposedly the Chiefs are willing to make him the second highest paid defensive tackle. But it comes down to the numbers. Like, what is guaranteed? What am I getting right now? What is this 3-year deal going to look like for Chris Jones? Another name I'm looking at, Brian Burns, right? This guy was there all training camp and decided on Monday, you know what, my deal isn't done. I'm not going to participate in anything. So now you would think the train of thought turns to him, and he's saying, well, if Nick Bosa's making $34 million, I feel like he's not $10 million a year better than me. I should be making upwards of $25, $26 million. So the team that usually always signs their person first wins. And in this situation, the Carolina Panthers and the Kansas City Chiefs are probably scratching their head. They're like, well, now these players are going to even want more money.
Well, and Bosa's not the only one who's going to get paid in this upcoming season as we take a look at the current salary cap conundrum.
A lot of money.
That the 49ers are in. Just look at those numbers off at the top, Lige. $34 million for Nick Bosa, $29 million for Deebo Samuel. The list goes on and on and on. How on earth do they manage this cap?
Well, this is what happens when you keep kicking the can down the road and restructuring people. And it'll be interesting to see how Nick Bosa's numbers come out and what his true cap hit is, because I guarantee they mixed some things in there where he got a lot of that guaranteed and lowered his cap number. But the 49ers are going to have to restructure players again next year to fit under the cap. The good thing is the luxury that they have is they're still playing a quarterback on his rookie deal. So they don't have to play Brock Purdy for potentially another year or two. So they can keep kicking that can down the road. But eventually, you know, the rooster is gonna come. Eggs are gonna come hatching, and they're gonna have to, pay everybody accordingly. So they're doing this because they're trying to make a run at the Super Bowl. That's what it comes down to. When you have a quarterback on a rookie deal, you pay as much star players as you can because eventually you're going to have to pay that quarterback.
Yeah, I'm so glad that I'm not in the front office having to figure out all of that money mess. Last question I want to ask you. Obviously, a guy like Micah Parsons who competes right next to Nick Bosa, he's coming up on a contract year as well. I know you talked about how this affects guys currently. If you're Micah Parsons, what are you saying right now to your agent?
Oh, man, if I get 15, 16 sacks, $34 million looks kind of right on me. You know, if you're Micah Parsons, and Jerry Jones kind of already spoke to this, right? He was telling Zach Martin when he was doing his holdout, like, you know, you got to calm down, big fella. I got to pay Micah Parsons. They just paid Steele, the right tackle, as well. So Micah Parsons, again, each player, yeah, we want everybody to get paid, but somebody else's deal has nothing to do with me. So if you're Micah Parsons, you're eyeing that $34 million because a lot of people have tabbed him as the second best rusher behind Nick Bosa, and rightfully so. This guy has been able to do it from stand-up linebacking position, from defensive end. Looks like he'll be just a defensive end this year, which I think is his best position in football. But if he gets in upwards of that 15, 16, sack mark, he's gonna, hey, Jerry, let me holler at you. I need a little bit of that money too.
Let me hold $1.
Yeah, I need to hold some.
All right, well, let's go ahead and take a look at the 49ers' upcoming schedule. Again, Nick Bosa getting paid $170 million new contract for him. The 49ers will kick off their season against the Steelers on the road. A couple other notable games in there. Of course, the Cowboys, they'll face off in Week 5 on Sunday Night Football. And a couple other big games on that schedule as well. So Nick Bosa officially sticking around for a little bit longer with the 49ers. $170 million going into his pocket.